Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh. Yeah. It's percolating. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning to the people on Facebook. Good morning to the people on IG. Good morning to the people on the YouTube. Good morning to the people on LinkedIn and Twitter too. Java. Percolating. Get a vibe, stay ready. Truth in the cup, keep it strong, keep it steady. Pull up a chair, yeah. Take a sip with me. Good morning, good people. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Yeah, Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy.
Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, and you are in the Java Cafe. We would like to welcome you and thank you for being here with us in the Java Cafe this morning. Do me a favor, hit that like and share. And on YouTube, go over there if you have not and hit that subscribe button and invite others to come in and be a part of the conversation and be a part of the Java fam this morning. I appreciate everyone being in the room. I put up a post up earlier to let folks know our discussion topic for this morning. And as it's been partially for the past few weeks, we're going to talk about Black economic development and the current facade of centuries and decades of being told to wait when it comes to our economic development. And in that vein, as I've shared over the past couple of weeks, that there was a meeting last night sponsored by the development team, mainly HYM and also HYM and my City at Peace, Reverend Brown, who has been here with us. Tom O'Brien was here as well. And so let's recap the meeting. First thing I'm going to say is it's very interesting to run into people that have had some things to say about you online, and then when you see them in person, it's interesting. And I just politely said, "We're in a church, so I'm not going to engage here." Respecting the house of God and Pastor Broderick. However, if I was to give one word to describe last night's meeting, I would say usual. And what I mean by that is we have to figure out a way to consistently engage our community members. The reason why I said usual last night, and I want to give a shout out to Brother Armani and the young people from Reclaim Roxbury. What I mean by usual is it was a lot of the voices that I have heard the past 20, 25 years. Well, I'm 54. Yeah. Well, I'll say the past 20 years. And to credit a lot of the work that a lot of our elders and vets in this space and those that have a lot of knowledge and have had impact need to mentor, have intentional relationships for intentional succession, and pass the baton. The average age that was in the room last night was 50, 45. And it speaks to entities, leaders that have to increase their community impact. I just saw Papa B's, Brother Boyce just hopped on over on Instagram. Go support that Black-owned business in Nubian Square. In Nubian Square, that's a part of the Black economic development for Black Boston as well. So go support that good brother, and he got some good food, some real good food. So go check out Brother Boyce Slayman Jr. at Papa B's. Good to see you over there on Instagram, brother. Something has to shift. The cyclical, so nothing about last night was new except it was P3. Issues with the mayor, issues with waiting that are valid, issues with the economy, and for Black developers and entities to have the capital readily available to invest in getting projects completed. We have to come off this highway of the same old, same old. I said the word usual. I've been using the word cyclical. Same stuff. Years ago, it was Mayor Menino. Then it was Mayor Walsh. Mayor Janey, not as much. One, because of her time, and two, she Black. And this isn't disparaging to her. I just wanted to say that when I say she's Black, we also got to understand that it generally all skin ain't kin. And the other part was naming the Black economic development. Those folks that have had impact for some years need to bring in some new energy, work with young people like at Reclaim Roxbury, and engage the community on a consistent basis. That way we are proactive, constantly engaged, constantly showing up. And no matter what a municipality, a governor's office, county, Fed's a little bit different. No matter what is going on, when we create enough proactive energy to be ready and poised to respond when things don't go favorable for Black economic development, Black people, everything Black. No entity, person, or corporation would make a decision about the Black community if they knew that we were consistently active, and knowing that entities and people can activate us via a quick email and a text. It's not rocket science. Carlos has said it on Java recently, on Java 2 years ago, before there was a Java. And I just want to encourage us to pay attention to what's going on in this current facade of P3 that's brought to the surface a lot. Some of you were on yesterday, and I took a call from the mayor, and we did end up talking after, and my same stance is the same. Hers is, but also understanding, and she said it publicly, there are some things that I have it here because someone sent me the transcript. Where is it? I'm not even going to really go into that, because no matter who's in, when enough pressure is applied, when they know there is a simmering on a low eye pressure cooker that just, we got it on a low eye. It's the pressure is building. They know they can't just move. And this is corporations. This is electeds. This is movements that try to come in our city. We have to do something different, or we're going to be here again. And I'm not going to be here 10 years talking the same thing. It cannot happen. I believe we have a mayor that's more malleable, and no matter who the mayor is, malleable or not, with our power, organized and uniformed, we can at the, what did they say back in the day? From the giddy up, when a thought comes out and folks bring it to their teams and corporate folks and marketing and whatnot, hopefully somebody in the room would be like, well, hey, the Black community might have an issue with this. We might want to, and not just the organizers, but elected officials, municipalities, staffers, they need to be constantly engaged. So they're constantly hearing in partnership what the needs are. And also we do have a responsibility. My proposal is you spend 25% of time and effort on naming, citing an issue, unpacking it. And the other 75% must be dedicated to resolution. What is the resolve? What is the answer? How do we move differently? This cyclical thing is just, yeah. So getting back to the meeting last night, my one word was usual. HYM, let me tell you, first of all, Dr. Carolyn Crockett, she's going to come on the show soon. She gave an historic, honorable overview of the history of P3, going back to Chuck Turner and others that did not allow a highway to come through the hood. P3 is a part of that. It was clear that some of these parcels come from pre-plans that the feds had the money. I learned all of this. I knew some stuff, but Dr. Crockett put it in a chronological, honorable order that cited the impact of our ancestors. And she said something that Chuck Turner said, and I don't remember it verbatim, but basically he said that the highway was not the thing. Similar to what Carlos said. P3 is not the thing. It's the undercurrent of what caused. Now, here's the thing. Chuck and them stopped the highway. Somebody needs to do a case study on that. And I'm sure it's been done. Dr. Crockett, maybe somebody, she wrote a book about it, I believe. So it's out there and I need to get it. Hopefully it's on Kindle. Well, no, I want the hard copy so she can sign it. Just like Uncle Thaddeus has a book out that we need to talk about as well. So back to the meeting. Dr. Carolyn Crockett gave an overview, historical context, and then the HYM and My City at Peace team presented their proposal. Some of the other partners that were there that spoke was Brother Ricardo Prive from Prive Transportation. He talked about he and Tom's his experience with Tom. Rev clarified for us the week before last that Tom did not approach him. He approached Tom to come into this project. We know that it was reviewed. Anyway, so people got up and spoke. The Roxbury Oversight Committee representatives was there. Brother Stephen Godfrey. There was another brother named Bill. I don't want to mess up. Bill Singleton from the South End that was there. Brother Amani was there. He spoke. Then we had some communities, some people from the community that spoke. Brother Godfrey, Reverend Brown, and I have a sense from some convos that there has been some progress made in initial conversations about how we ensure that we have the educational facility and a black economic hub and engine that is also influenced by culture, aka embrace. And I don't think I took a picture of the rendering. I did a video, so I can't show you. And it's beautiful. And what it can do is beautiful. Now, the original plan, the original design, everything's out the window. The de-designation is permanent. It's done. And by law, the city of Boston has to reissue a RFP process in conjunction with what the administration is proposing with Madison Park. Side note, Brother Amani mentioned the other day that there is this thing called Article 80. And let me just give you a quick synopsis of Article 80. Brother Amani cited to some extent that he's wondering if Madison Park's proposal has to be approved by the Oversight Committee. And it's a lot here to read. I'm trying to see if there is a quick, what I will do, there's a citizen guide to Article 80, and it's potentially going to be a long, let me see how long this link is. What I'll do is I'm going to put the link, where did it go? Article 80. This also has the BPDA board members in case we ever need to reach out to them. So I'm going to put this link. I actually put this in the chat when Reverend Brown was on. So here is the link to the Article 80 information. And so there were people speaking from the community. Brother Amani cited Article 80. And the community comments were usual. And I just, something has to give. Something really has to give. And what I mean by that, or what needs to be get by given, excuse the vernacular, not only with electeds, corporations, developers, people who assert a sort of monolithic voice for the Black community as a whole might want to reconsider how they present their opinion. Now, hi, I'm Java with Jimmy, and I express a lot of opinions. But please understand that those are heavily driven by our engagement here and conversations with people in the community. It is imperative that we tap into the next generation while observing the fact that the impact that is needed now may not be able to be obtained by our elders. And I'm just going to leave that there. What we did walk away with is understanding from Stephen Godfrey, Reverend Brown, and I'm aware of some conversations that the conversations that we've been pushing for have begun. So as things begin to progress, I will update you. I want to also share another update. And this is in the vein of protecting, Black women, not giving an appearance or perception of misogyny. Because while we're also talking about Black economic development within our Black community are women, Black developers, women women-owned construction companies. We had Sister J.C. Burton on here. There was an article that came out in the Globe and basically talked about how some of that team led by women, Black women, one or two of them are Black. I don't know if all three are Black women. They're all of color, they're moving away from the project, and stated in the article that it was due, in a quick synopsis, of not being engaged. So there comes that ongoing engagement piece in everything. Communication is key. What are my 3 C's? Communication, communication, coordination, collaboration. That's how we get a lot of stuff done. The 3 C's. I'm not talking about the club back in the day. And so I had to state that because I'm aware. I've been conversing, with one of them, and that is very real. And so here's it again, another opportunity to reset with this, whatever new iteration is coming out of P3 in that Black economic development, Black LGBTQIA2S plus, women, small businesses, sole proprietor businesses, not only in the P3, but this has been also a constant conversation around White Stadium. What are the percentages of the I believe it's 51% of MBE, like how many are from Roxbury, how many have a zip code for their business of 02119, 02121. And those are the questions, those are, I would suggest, be a lot of the priorities that we pay attention to, and ensure that our Black elected leaders, people that want us to come, we haven't talked a lot about developers generally, not just HYM and My City at Peace. It is imperative that Black developers, it's most apropos for them to be capitalists. I'm a capitalist. I want to obtain wealth for the purpose of, I'm a social capitalist. I want to attain wealth for the purpose of putting it back on the street, funding this platform, giving out the gift cards and stuff like we used to do, giving out $1,000 prizes at the health fair. Thank you to the partners, Johnson & Johnson, Bayer, and others that make that happen. But I have to go through a process of that, getting that approved and asking and make sure their, logo is on all materials, rightfully so. They're sponsoring it. But I'm a capitalist in the manner that I want to write my own checks for the stuff that we discuss that we need to do here. And so, Charlene, I'm going to get to you in a minute with your comment and your question. And so there are Black developers and millionaires in this city that are part of that power structure and equation. And elected officials know that developers can quickly write the $1,000 checks. They know that certain projects may bring taxes, revenue into, into the Boston area. So they have a power too. So, and Michelle doesn't operate with developers like administrations of old. Quite honestly, I think generally developers is a bad word to her, because a lot of the times the developers come in, they build and they move, and the green space, and what is the community impact that their development from this one I got to look at. Some of you may be aware of a story that popped up in the paper about one of the governor's employees that may be at risk of losing her job. I know her. She's responsible for my interviews with the governor. I've known her since 2020. And I checked on her this morning when Aaron and AJ, I saw the headline of the article, and Aaron and AJ texted me this morning and said, "Did you know that this was?" So I reached out to her and she just responded, and seeing her name, I had to check. And so I ask you to keep Tina, I'm going to say Tina, Ma, Sharon, and everybody that can whisper a prayer for the favorability of this young lady that is in the state, ensuring that Black and brown media outlets have access to our governor. So sorry to deviate. Okay, let me get to a couple of things because Frederick, every time I see that name, I'm going to say SJ since that's the name of your program. Charlene asked, we're going to get into the meeting last night and my conversation about capitalism. So to close that piece out about the developers, sometimes we're going to need to put some pressure on the developers. And that is done. Article 80, I believe, cites that there's a certain amount of community engagement and buy-in that developers need in order to make things happen when it comes to zoning and things like that. So they need to be a part of the equation as well. Black electeds, Black developers, and also entities and Black orgs that assert themselves to be advocates and activists for us. I'm going to leave that alone for a second. Charlene said, bring 3Cs back. There was a lot, not now. There was a lot that went on up there back in the day. So to your question, now, the elected officials that were there was Nick Collins, Ruth C., Brian Worrell, Minyard Culpepper, and I believe that's all I saw. Charlene asked, was at-large councilors there? There was only one. City Councilor Julie Mejia did reach out. She and her team, they didn't see a flyer. And so maybe they missed my post. And she reached out and said, hey, you know, what happened? Give me a report. So Councilor Julie Mejia reached out and was at another event. Disclaimer. I may not been aware of staffers that may have been in the meeting to cover for other at-large candidates. And also, it was observed that the state representative and the state senator and all of the at-large counselors were not in the room. They themselves. And given the gravity of the bigger picture, for some that was a concern. Now, again, disclaimer. I didn't walk up to everybody and say, hey, are you representing? No. People have family issues. Originally, this meeting was scheduled for the 2nd. The snow came, it got changed to the 9th. Did people have other things on their calendar, prior commitments? Yes, that's real. But it was an observation that certain Black electeds from the district were not in the room themselves. So to Tashad's point about the issue with capitalism in general, I'm going to throw that in, Tashad, is that propped up by exploitation of some entity, it literally cannot exist without exploitation. Now, Tashad, who was a D7 candidate, was in the room. And one of your truest tests about people that are committed to the work is when they run for office, even if they lose, are they still going to be active? Tashad, shout out to you. Capitalism has a context to it. So I am a person that wants to generate income and revenue for the purpose of supporting my own give back to community. And Tashad, I know what you're saying in general. The exploitation of how some people gain wealth is real. No concern for social determinants of health, like air quality. Another thing that nobody is really talking a lot about is the construction impact. There's some environmental impacts as far as noise, as far as traffic. And so we haven't talked, let's say everything was perfect. Let's say that everybody agreed with White Stadium and the equity was 99% Black women from Roxbury with the supply of diversity. Let's say that the team dropped down. They only want to play one game a month and everything is dedicated to BPS. And they figure out a way to put some sort of football. Let's say everything is perfect with White Stadium. Let's also say that at Madison Park, everything gets approved. They have the Madison My City in Roxbury project how much construction and some of that, if everything was perfect, some of that construction is going to collide for maybe a year or two. So these are the things that as we're talking about the bigger picture, we also got to keep in mind the impact on community. So that's why it's important that our counselors, our state reps, our state senators, and also representation from my sister's office, because this is within district, our Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. And again, you got the district, you got the at-large, the state rep, and the state senator. So the touch point and major and the at-larges and the major influences should be closer to within district. And then you go to your, our congressional representatives. I am going to say, read Charlene's comment. Well, all schedule pending should have attended because, as I said, Madison is the only trade school for all of Boston. All counselors need to be at the table, not just online. She said it, I didn't. Frederick, Tashad Court, the more you make, the more you take. We need to change that conditioning. The more I make, the more I want to give. That, and I know we're not talking about me and everybody's, I just wanted to level set that in this, the conversation about general capitalism and gaining wealth is real. But when it comes to us, when it comes to some of us, as I said earlier, all skin ain't kin. And so Tashad and Fred, to your point, even when it's amongst us, I get it. I get it. Because some of us will sacrifice us for themselves to get that project done. Did I say that? Who said that? Tashad. Frederick Hampton, yep. And I really don't like the structure. I know there's a better way to be. That's what I'm pointing to, Tashad. Pastor Sharon Cornelius, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Janky, good morning. Good to see you in the room this morning. I just wanted to share with you all, Donna and I had a text. One of the reasons why I encourage you all to follow me on YouTube. YouTube is the easiest way to go back and do the rewatch. Some of you that are used to Facebook and want to scroll down my page if you're going back like 5 days, but YouTube is the easiest way. And let me just do a plug real quick and put my YouTube link in the comments. So after the show, you all can go and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Where is the share button, Jesus? Hold on. How do you share? Oh, right here. And in all fairness, a lot of, and it was cited last night, a lot of the attention, bringing folks into the room around P3, the meeting and the advocacy, we did. As a community, we engaged here and kept ourselves up to date. All right, here is the link to the YouTube page. So Donna, good to see you in the room this morning. Let me get back to the comments here. Michelle D. Smith said something earlier. Do me a favor, y'all. Split up them long comments because it's hard to watch. But this one isn't bad. Buenos dias and shalom, Java with Jimmy. Muchas gracias. First of all, I love the Spanish. Benito, muchos gracias. For those of you who have been praying for me, I got an update from Michelle the other day. She's been sharing about her hypertension. Great news. Prayers being answered. Final test show normal TSH level. So as of appointment with PCP this Friday AM, official diagnosis will be confirmed. As of now, they're saying it's hypertension. Sister Michelle, get yourself somewhere and try to relax. Breathe. And don't let the stresses of this world make your blood pressure go up. All right. I saw something from Nia Grace's in the, thank you, Nia. So here's the link to the article that I had mentioned earlier. Nee, I hope you was on for my commentary. You know why I said that. Nia, thank you so much for sharing that article. Charlene, so no, all the did at large did not attend. And I'm getting back. Jamal, good morning, brother. Good to see you in the room. Sister Jenny, good to see you in the room this morning. Absolutely, Tashad. Absolutely. Tashad said, thanks, Jimmy. I expected to see a lot more people in the P3 meeting. I'm grateful for the people who were there, but given the urgency of this situation, we need more to pull up. And just like Charlene said, the elected, we got to give balance and space to people working 2 jobs. It's cold out. That's a huge influence on me staying in house. I see the Instagram moving. So I'm going to check over there in a second and welcome the folks in the Instagram section of the Java Cafe in a second. Charlene says, is P3 even slated to start construction at the same time as Madison? Like, have they met the monetary investment or expect to? Brother Pops, Eric Estevez brought that up last night. That's been a lot of the sort of not out there, but out there behind the scenes convos about what the developers need to bring to the table. There have been some conversations about the accelerator fund and how P3 can tap into that and how that shows the city's commitment to the project. Therefore, other investors might be more prompted to invest. So with my brothers and other folks that are part of the development, questions like that need to be in answers to the questions like that need to be in the forefront. And also, and I've shared this with them, as I said in the interview, Brother Joey and Sister Shaniqua, I believe it, to Tashad's point about the urgency, Tashad, I don't think the general public, one is general, no pun intended. I don't think the general public, as much as I said we talked about it, and as much as others are putting it on social media, the general public may not be aware. We do this. Y'all tune in. It's preaching to the choir to some extent. That's why I said earlier in the commentary that entities, asserted leaders, corporations, developers, elected officials, offices like the Equity Office in the city of Boston that we have extended an invitation to come and chat with us that they have not responded to. Hi. That constant engagement, there really wouldn't be too much that takes you by surprise because we have, what was it? Stacey Lattisaw back in the day. Love on a 2-way street. And we've seemed to lost it on a lonely highway of the cyclical of the same old. Miss Teresa, good morning. You all continue to keep Miss Teresa in your prayers. Charlene also said, did the Roxbury Planning Council meeting with the mayor happen already? They did have a meeting. Stephen Godfrey had shared last night that the beginning of there are conversations happening that the tone of what Stephen said, the tone of what Rev said, Rev and I are actually going to check in this morning, the tone of what Rev said, and then the tone of a couple of conversations I've had. We've been heard. So please don't, as much as Tashad and I are talking about everybody pulling up in the urgency and awareness, those of us that have pulled up and have aware and have the time mobility, the energy, the knowledge, of this, I can't take away from the fact that we've been heard. Now we just need to be sure that we are listened to. I forget the analogy of listening and hearing, but whatever the case. Michelle is relaxing. Absolutely. Tony, what's up, brother? I don't know if you put an emoji, but the app that I use doesn't show emojis here. Good to see you in the room, brother. Good morning. Good morning. Michelle D. Smith is letting us know that she is resting. Dina Marshall Tarver, I wanted to go but couldn't make it. For those of you that want to, I did record a go live with Dr. Carolyn Crockett's portion. I forgot who else, a couple of other people. I went live with their portion. What's good is White Stadium and P3 if black families continue to be what's good if White Stadium and P3 black families continue to be displaced by by the time these places are developed, who will actually be left to benefit from it? The gentrified? I wish you would have wrote the colonizers. So a couple of things there, Frederick, to your question. One is, I haven't seen it yet, but I got a call this morning that said that there's an article that says that 187,000 people have left 187,000 black people have left Boston. And as much as I fuss at Mingle, I put a post up. I said, I'm going to recap today, and then we're going to talk about where do we go? Where does Black Boston go from here? Mingo's ratchet self, corner type, Brockton, Rhode Island, and somewhere else. I was like, Mingo, I got to give you that one. Carlos cited this on the show last week or the week before last, that there's been a great departure of black people from Boston. It's happening across the state. We're the capital. We have more. And so, but almost 200, I ain't going to force it. I was going to say almost 250,000, but another 70 or so thousand, 187. Yeah. 168,000, another 68,000. It'd be 250,000 black people that identify as black across the spectrum and the diaspora have left Boston since COVID. Let me give context. Since COVID. So for the past 6 years at the end, and it's hard to believe that we're going to have to reminisce and honor and those that have lost. We're going to come back up on that again. But for the past 6 years, 187 people have left, 187 black people have left Boston. Now, it's going on all across the state of Massachusetts. So are we going to talk in a few years about the great, not migration, the great departure, the great black departure? Charlene additionally says, this is one of y'all city councilors. Hold on. He's going to cuss me out. Dr. Worrell. I'm currently, hold on. It is not Mayor Hills, and I'm currently live.
Not yet.
Shut up. I'm on, Councilor Worrell, you're live. I put you on the mic and answer. Real quick, what was your impression of last night?
I wasn't there the whole meeting, so I was giving you a call to kind of get an understanding of what happened.
Okay. I'll check in with you. And actually, if you got a few minutes, switch from the phone and go online. And I'm talking about it right now.
Okay.
All right, brother. Thank you. And Brian, thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for not tucking your tail between your legs and just going and, sitting quietly over at your seat. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate your energy and what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
All right, brother. I'll check in. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Excuse me. Y'all pray for the people that are 33 weeks pregnant that can't make it. Charlene, I love you. I love you, sister. MZM is in the room. One of Malcolm X's daughters was speaking at the Roxbury Library last night as well. Competing activities in Roxbury on the same night. Thank you for that, Monica. And that happens, and they had to shift this meeting. But that happens often. I used to say that in Boston, it's either everything in one weekend or nothing at all for like 6 weeks. But all right. Tashad is saying, I believe that Jimmy, the awareness may not be there for this topic, but it needs to be. Hence one of the reasons that why we keep talking about this. Tony, that's it. And sustaining it. We've been building and building, and then I'm trying to think of a deep analogy, but we've been building And I don't know if the buildings are sustainable. I don't, here we go. We got to do that community building on a sure foundation, a foundation that all the trash and debris and the clearing out of things that would disrupt and the improper boulders that once you lay the cement, some years later, that boulder didn't move. And now due to the earth shifting, the undercurrent of racism and things, that boulder is now sticking up and the foundation gets broke. We've been community building for decades and have had impact. But Tony, to your point, from the community building, how do we create a titanium type shit building that no matter the hurricane, the wind, no matter the administration, no matter, we're solid. And that building is there. We got buildings in Boston that have been here since the 1800s. That's the type of community building we need. Somebody told me yesterday, Jimmy, take out the emotion. Not take out. They said they appreciate the emotion and it is a part of my authenticity, but I felt myself going there. Miss Teresa, good morning. But you're going to be outside this weekend too. Brother, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate, and you know what? I don't say this much because Facebook has been prompting me to do a whole campaign. And I haven't said this a lot because I'm going to go ahead and say it. A few weeks ago, some dude hit me in my inbox talking about, because Facebook offered me the ability for subscribers. And it comes up in every comment. You just turn a button on and it comes up. This dude going to hit me talking about, yo, you charging us for information. Why are you charging us for information? Ninja, do you pay for your newspaper? Sorry. Tony and others. So my point there is, I have not acknowledged this. To those of you that have subscribed and to those of you that send stars, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because when them little checks come in, that may cover a light bill. I don't know about this winter. That may cover a light bill. That could fill my tank of gas. I ain't getting no like hundreds of dollars or nothing. But thank you. Because the expression of you hitting that button to send me something that you all actually have to pay for says a lot. So thank you to subscribers and star senders. Brother Tony, you active up in here today. Sharon, I believe the number is I believe the number is 187,000. Nia knows why this made me fall out. Charlene says it's true. Honestly, it's cheaper and travel time to the city is the same amount of traffic and time if you were to travel from Hyde Park to downtown. I think the point Charlene is making here that it's true what Mingo said, that people are going to Rhode Island, Brockton. I forgot the other city that he said. And for Charlene to make that point that the traffic, the time you spend on commuting is just about the same. And the cost of living in some of these other places is cheaper. And you don't have maybe, presumably, as much of the city rigor and noise and whatnot. That's interesting. I hope Dr. Crockett does a study on the departure of Black people from Massachusetts and Boston. Tashad says here, yes, there is a good article in the Globe about mass out migration. You saw I was trying to think of the word, Charlene, Tashad, the mass out migration. Okay. We know these statistics are inordinarily impactful on Black people, especially because that means that there's oh God, of the 187,000. Now, my first thought, thanks to Shad, how many of that 187,000 were voters or eligible to vote and or voters? All right. It's the so Charlene said out migration, and Frederick said it's the great. Right. Donna Williams Bowen, y'all are saying good morning and having your conversations. I think I am almost caught up with most of the. Oh, let me jump over to Instagram real quick. Shout out to Roden, Tone One, Ari, good morning. John Bonds, Bobby, Durango, I was about to say your government. My mother jumped on. I thought that was Angelina. Angela jumped on. Nikki is on Instagram. Tyreek, good to see you last night, brother. Prettiest Fat Boy, what's up, dude? Halan Holiday, SWBC20. Brother Sean, Sensei is on Instagram. Kimmy, good morning to you. Walter Martin, good morning to you. And I said Papa B's earlier. Charlene says, I have a profound amount of respect for Counselor Brian Worrell. I do too. And it hasn't always been like that. Brian and I often talk about his first campaign season. I'm going to leave that right there. Not sure if Counselor Worrell made it over here, but can you clarify what power the counselors have when it comes to something like P3? Again, I see statements and videos where counselors take a position on a topic, but then what? Is it just awareness? What can they do to work with the administration instead of being fifth versus fifth? Charlene, you were younger, but you come back from my day. We used to say the other side of five. I don't know exactly. I believe to answer your question, by my awareness, it would be the power of their vote on the budget. Of that 135 million, like, does the council not vote for that? That is a power. In theory, that is a power that the council has. Now, we've had two major votes since the council session has started. We all know what the first one was. He just called. The second one was around this rules that City Councilor Braden, who was the president, are trying to implement. They split again. So I don't know, Charlene. In theory, it would be the council that is the checkmate. And but here we go back to system constraints and things that Nia talked about on GBH last week. By charter, this is the strongest mayoral seat, if not in the world, in the country, definitely in the country. In the past few years, from back with Chuck Yancey and others, Team Unities, Felix Sr., they've begun to assert that. Now, this is just political strategy. A mayor is supposed to stack the council with people in their favor. If you understand politics, the mayors that have, Carlos said that Marty tried to do it. Mayor Menino, God knows, did do it. You didn't become the city council president without Menino signing off. Now, I told somebody yesterday, Mayor Menino, when he took over, when Flynn left in 93, I don't remember what month, the mayor got his team together, ran for election, or did he run in 93? He became mayor in 93 because he was the city council president. Again, that's why the city council presidency is so important. Right now, what if by some miracle, Jesus touches Donald Trump in one of his rampages in the middle of the night on Truth Social, and Jesus gives some truth to him, and he calls Michelle and says, I want you to help me break down ICE and da-da-da-da-da. Guess who becomes the mayor? Not to take it back to, a few months ago, but Charlene, to your question, it's the power of their vote on the budget. I believe that right now, and mobilization. The D7 counselor might want to just here it goes. The D7 counselor, Minyard Culpepper, State Representative China Tyler, State Senator Elizabeth Miranda, all four city councilors convene the community. Are the usual suspects, the me's, and I'm not going to say other people's names, but the people that come in the meeting, the people that have a platform, the people that make the noise, the squeaky wheel that gets the oil. I'm not talking about us. As I've said to Reverend Brown, I'm talking about Brother Joey and Sister Shaniqua. Convene them. Carlos said it the other day. Between them, I don't remember the exact formula that he used. People voted for Minion Culpepper. People voted for China Tyler. People voted for Liz Miranda. People voted for all 4 city councilors. The number of people that they can turn out away from voting time in the election is ridiculous. Oh, Jesus. Carlos is in here. Hold on. Sometimes I see the names come up and I'm like, oh, shoot. Frederick, can we not romanticize Black families being displaced? Who's doing that? Carlos, you can't claim what you don't own. Kind of goes to Fred's point, home ownership. Fred said something about displacement. With the gentrifiers or the colonizers, that is definitely real because people are going to be attracted. The more those type of projects and things come on, the beautification of the city and you know, avid soccer fan, you know, doesn't want to be bussed in or whatever. They may want to try to come to Boston. And to Carlos's point, they have a lot of capital and resources to buy, and we don't. So there's a mix between what Fred and Carlos said there. Carlos said also, we think because we live in a place that we own or control that place. Nope. Home ownership is one of the key indicators of wealth. I was going to say something. Carlos, I'm curious of your thoughts about how generally some elected officials view home owners versus renters. I believe some years ago we had a conversation about that. Jenny, good morning. Good to see you in the room. I think I said good morning earlier. Sorry. Charlene said, I don't think it's romanticizing as much as it's literally where we are as a people. No matter how many anti-displacement migration strategies are in place, the free market can't be stifled. Thanks for that, Charlene. Now I understand Frederick was talking about people leaving Boston. I don't know. So y'all know these comments are 17 seconds behind in itself. And then if I'm going through them and giving commentary, I could be about 3 minutes behind. So sometimes the comments and the timing, I got to play catch up and get context. Carlos said they can ask, lobby, and organize. If it's a separate vote, but she controls 7 votes. So thank you, Carlos. And now a lot of it, let's keep it 100. A lot of my knowledge is due to spending time. Carlos, someone, thank you again. I've talked to this man every day, probably for the past 2 weeks. I appreciate you, brother. First names like you hung out with them. First names like I hung out with them. I'm sorry. Carlos, don't start. Charlene says, I get they are supposed to be a checks and balances body from what I'm gathering, but why can't it be 2 bodies that respect the 3 C's? It just feels so contentious. And I'm just thinking about this. These electeds have a lot of ambiguity. About what's to come. These electeds know that they're on the hot seat from Black Boston. They are. They have been, but they are more so now. Carlos and I was talking yesterday and during an interview, we cited the point that while P3 has brought some things to surface, what P3 has also done, more people are paying attention to civics. More people are paying attention to the process. More people are tuning in spaces like here. Carlos is on Spark FM at some point today, later or whatever. Or earlier, I'm not sure. Carlos, what time are you on Super Tuesday? People are talking about this and paying attention. So if there's any non-ugly byproduct, it's that people are paying attention, and that's a good thing. Charlene also, I got that. Sharon said that my daughter and her husband, Frida, and them, I guess, was a part of the 180,000. I personally think it's more than that. It could potentially be. Cheryl, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Carlos said power is contentious. Power consolidates. Power grabs more. Power is addictive. Let's just keep that 100. It is. The more power you get, the more power you want, because you recognize what you can do with that power. Where the issue stands and pops its head up is when that power is not about people. Kenya, I'm hella late, but I'm here. Good morning. Kenya was, me and Kenya was, Kenya sat behind me. Oh, I got to tell, Tanya Anderson was there last night. I got to tell y'all what happened. Fred Hampton, why would black families mobilize around P3 and White Stadium if they know they aren't going to be around and enjoy it? Frederick, I get where you are. I get presumably when and where you're coming into the space. And it's very interesting right now. I want us to level set. That's why I cited earlier that we've been heard. We've been heard around P3. Frederick, this is where another point of our power comes in. Okay. Outside of the homes that are here, if developers are trying to come in and build, affordable housing or build condos on a space, they have to go through a zoning process where they need community sign off. I was going to say we. It is the responsibility of the city of Boston, the elected in the district, both municipal and state level rep and senator, to make sure that as many residents as possible are aware of these type of meetings. And they also need to do the research to look at the long-term economic impact, to look at the environmental impact, to look at the Black economic impact. Look at the DEI impact around businesses that may be in your commercial space there. Like, then as they do that, we have to show up in an ideal world. Here of late, a lot of engagement. I'll ask you all. Are you getting more engagement from your elected officials or from spaces like this? Spark FM Super Tuesday. Marv talks about Urban Heat had the mayor on Sunday to talk about White Stadium. Marv bought in Minion Culpepper a lot. I'm going to ask you all, where do you get most of your community engagement, civic engagement information from? I'll wait. Kenya said, yes, an Article 80 process is a must for projects this size. Kenya at some point worked in the BRA, and she knows some things. So I know Brother Amani is going to make sure he and his lawyers have all the things written out and whatnot. So with that being said, now here's the thing that Amani brought up the other day. The mayor appoints the Roxbury Oversight Committee members, and this was not established in Wu's. And let me say, nope, I'm not even going to go there. This was not established in Wu's administration, I believe. And it wasn't, because Stephen Godfrey said last night, and Armani talked about this happening under the Walsh administration. So that is something that was already in place. Reggie, you mobilize around it so that we can be around to enjoy it. P3 was full of Black neighborhoods and businesses back in the. Carolyn and Reggie, you can attest. Carolyn Crockett, she set the stage last night. And I have to be honest with you, hearing the reference to our ancestors, there was a challenge of Jesus. We may have let them down in this generation, and maybe there's a generation between them and us. It was a challenge, but then it was also inspiring, because Carlos talks about small wins. One was huge. You stopped a highway from coming through, presumably, Southwest Corridor, Eggleston, all of that. That's where the highway in close proximity. Maybe some places veered off with the, train going over there. But that was a big win. So that should let us know that we have the power to do that. Now, back in the day, our ancestors were a little more less civil. They marched, they called, they organized, they sent letters. The advantage they had was of not the liberty sitting at home or doing this. They had to show up. They had to send the letter. They had to make the phone call. There was no emails. So while we employ the tools of today, what's his name? Gambino said tool. It's more than just recording. It's putting in things to 311 app. It is doing some research on Google about Article 80. It is sending an email to your city councilor and saying, where are you? Carlos said that they were better organized. They understood unity and mobility. And here's the thing, Carlos, their mobility was limited in comparison to today. Which, through the force of not having the virtual device space, it was unfamiliar to them. So it was an automatic part of their advocacy and activism. They showed up. They made phone calls. They had no choice. They couldn't post. People Before Highways is Dr. Crockett's book. Miss Teresa or somebody, throw the link up in the comments, please. Kenya said that I can honestly say I can appreciate Godfrey from Roxbury Strategic Master Plan Oversight. That's a long name. Roxbury Master Plan Oversight Committee. Carlos said that they were better organized and understood. He also said that, but they created personal connections. The relation, but Carlos, that's the point. There's the ongoing, and I don't know if you was on, Carlos, but I was talking about Stacey Ladisaw. Love on a two-way street. It's what's the term? It's 360. Remember, it was popular that we were doing these 360 reviews when we were working, and you had a supervisor and you evaluate 360 evaluations. You evaluated them, they evaluated you, and it's now that's, I won't say cyclical. It's the dual intentional ongoing communication and relationship. And that lends to succession. Out of those conversations, out of you seeing who shows up after you talk to them, you see little Pookie talks to you, responds to your texts, will send an email, will post it for you. Something in you should say, hey, I need to pull Pookie under my wing, teach them the ropes. Maybe you can't teach the ropes. Never mind. Thank you, Miss Teresa. This is a link to Dr. Crockett's book, People Before Highways. Thank you so much, Miss Teresa, for doing that. Charlene is also saying there's also a DSNI documentary that was very nice, Gaining Ground. To Carlos Enriquez's point, organizing was all hands on deck. And Charlene, I think you noticed, but I can tell you, Carlos started out at DSNI. So I'm sure there may be some footage of Carlos in there when he was little. No, so I'm messing. Miss Teresa, again, thank you so much for this information. It is 11:11. Time flies by when you're having fun. I enjoy this, you all. As much as it's a labor of love at times, as much as the heaviness and the pressure and the weight, I enjoy this. It was reported to me that there's some people that are tuning in to Java with Jimmy that, well, obviously they wasn't tuning in before. We're having impact. And while saying that, while everything that we talked about today, the displacement, gentrification, 187,000 people leaving, we are in the process of, we're at a yellow light. Y'all hear more about that later. We're at a yellow light and we are looking in the intersection, maybe in the car, recalibrating our GPS, kind of figure out where we're going and what is the best route. So there's a lot to hold on to. Speaking of hold, Jesus, Lord, to hold on to. There's a lot to do. Watch Holding Ground and Gaining Ground by DSNI. Anybody have any links? Is it on Facebook? Please let us know so folks can have the information and watch it. Don't just look at it here, you guys, and like Carlos and Charlene's status comment. But if there is a YouTube link, let's try to put it here. Frederick, we need to be organizing young people, planning for tomorrow. Adults are too stuck in their ways, and it doesn't look like much is going to get done in these days. So let me put something there, sir. 2020 brought to my attention, and 21 brought to my attention this. Even with the flubs, the mistakes, wrong intentions, I ain't gonna put there. Even with the flubs and the mistakes and not getting everything right, there is a historic and institutional knowledge of the elders that cannot be just disregarded. I said before that they had impact. However, you can bring in new energy, a different approach. Young people haven't been tainted by failures. Well, some. They haven't been tainted by presumably a lot of the infighting and silos. So they're a little bit, pure. But they have energy. And just because of a different voice in the room, they may say something one day and have the room going, well, we never thought of that. We can't disregard the old guard and elders. We need to build upon what they were successful in. Who said community building? Tony said community building. If right now if they were the foundation and the ones right before us is different from me versus you, Frederick. If they got to the first and second floor, you don't go in and demolish the foundation of first and second floor. What you do is you shore up the foundation, to your point, if there were mistakes made, and then you build the third floor and the fourth floor. Then you're going to have to install an elevator to bring other people up. And so to my point before, you have the old guard, our elders need to be intentional about, to Carlos's point, intentional relationships for the purpose of intentional succession. And I had the thought, so I'm going to say it. Some people don't want to be succeeded until they are 6 feet under. You got 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot in the community meeting. So to Frederick's point, tap into these young people. We can read books. We don't need that old. Let me say something to you, sir, young man. That is a dynamic in community building that comes up. I didn't finish my point about 2020. Thank you. Young people were the ones out there marching. Young people were the ones with the energy. Where we did not come together is help our young people take that energy and turn that into getting new policies over the line. There were the DEI nice things that people put out. And what did we say last time we talked about this? Like 85% of the DEI, and this was before January of 25. DEI started to drop like in 23. So we need to Fred, I'm sorry, I got off a little bit. To get back to Frederick's point that he was making about reading, how I got the DEI there. Obviously, I've been talking too long. We read books. We don't need old people energy around the work. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Unequivocally, yes, you do. You need if anything, you need to see, to your point, learn from the mistakes. But you cannot disregard the old guard and the elders. There's no other thing to say that I can't say I just say it and that's it. No, I'm not going to do that. There is institutional and historical knowledge that old heads bring to the table. And not all old heads are trying to hold on to power. There are some that want you, Frederick, that want to pour into you and share their challenges and successes. There are some out there. So as much as the old heads need to reach, quote unquote, hear me, down, our young people have to be willing to reach up. All right. Thank you, Brother Carlos. Coming from you. Reggie says we need balance. The old heads who got it done have a lot of insight. You got to find the right elders, though, who actually put in work. And Reggie, I'll take it to another point. Even some of the ones that put in work, they sometimes don't want to pass on the knowledge. And I don't know why. Oh God, I just thought of a word. It begins with gate and ends with a G. Carlos, a lot of French, we I say we, Carlos, because as we talked about the individuality, I can't do this alone. Frederick can't do it alone. Carlos can't do it alone. Liz Miranda can't do it alone. Brian Worrell can't do it alone. There's power in numbers when we're doing the math right. Is my brother Milton in here? Good morning, brother. Rhonda Croxon Perch. Good to see you in the room. I love this sister. So supportive and just thank you so much. You don't make it onto the live often. You must not be in the building where I can always recognize the ceiling. Good to see you in. Old people equal knowledge and lived experiences. You can't replace that. Brother Frederick, you done bought out some of the old heads. No disrespect. Oh, shoot. No disrespect. You bought out some of the people with life experience. Kenya, elders that are not closed-minded either. Chardlene, some people do not know how to be mentors. They have the best of intentions and want to bring us up, but they don't know how to properly design mentorship. Likewise, some people in the younger generation don't know how to properly communicate. They'd like to help and learn. I just said that. So obviously that's some affirmation. I didn't see the comments yet. So Charlene, thank you for that. Miss Teresa did put a link in the comments. She's not sure if this is the whole, what did she say? Where's it at? There is a link to it. She's not sure if it's the entire Building Ground documentary, but it at least is some there. And so there is that link there for YouTube. Frederick is saying, nah, I remember when Grove Hall finally got approved for the community center, they was like, oh, it took us 20 years of advocacy to get this done. Everyone applauded and thought that it was so great. If it takes 20 years for y'all to get a community center up, I'm all set. So here, Frederick, you need to understand some things because I was involved in that. That goes back from the time. Here's the historical institutional knowledge that you need. There was the bubble. There was also, if you understand, a environmental issue, because within the vicinity of where they're going to build the Grove Hall Community Center were auto repair shops that presumably sometimes did not properly dispose of their oil. They had to do a land survey. They had to probably clean up some things. They had to find funding. The city too, I believe, has to go through a zoning. And how can I say this? Sometimes people arise in neighborhoods and assert themselves as the voice for the entire community. And when that happens and you have one person doing it, and then you have another person saying something different, sometimes the city is sitting in the middle going, well, this side of the community said this, and this side of the community said that. So it took 20 years because a lot had to be done. Now, do I think that's okay? No. Do I think that some of the BS that I just referred to played a part in that? Yes. But this was an example of, and it goes to the point of waiting. I hear you. There was another thing that we had to wait on. But you have to remember that, oh God, the bubble. I was with Mayor Menino from 2006 to 2010, 2007 to 2010. And the bubble, as Grove Hall Community Center, there was a bubble there. One of those big, I forgot what it was called, but inflated like steel things with plastic on it. Carlos, Brother Frederick, how long will it take you? I'm from the area. I'm aware of what's going on. Nia, hence the need for collective voice and agenda. Absolutely. 1000%. Charlene says, Curtis and Amani are two great people who really take the time to look at the historical context of issues that help level set the playing field. They actually help me understand how to make more educated opinions on topics without being too reactive. Frederick, are you sure? And in this informal virtual mentoring type space that we're doing right now, I don't want to disregard the frustration. I don't want to disregard the energy, and I don't want to disregard the impact that you've already had, sir. It's just a belief that with engagement here, I don't know if you reached out to Carlos yet, that historical and lessons learned mixed with what Charlene said about someone that has that knowledge, but then also is intentional about how they share it and how they intentionally mentor. Our OHEAD motive is to try to help the next generation avoid pitfalls. And we haven't always avoided them ourselves. Truth of the matter is, some of us appeared as if we went and jumped in them, but I'm going to leave that there. Carlos says that I asked how long it will take, not how long. Carlos said, I asked how long it will take you, not how long it won't take. Frederick said, that's my issue. People are okay with 20 years. I don't want that type of leadership. Give an explanation as to the reason why doesn't mean we're okay with it. It's an understanding of, unfortunately, why. Let's bring it back to P3. That's 65 years. And I think you got a full context as to why. A lot of it is the system. And you got to understand that it ain't just us. Okay. It is us to an extent. Okay. It is us to an extent because if those that were in Grove Hall that were asserting themselves as leaders mobilize the people, you said 20 years. There was at least minimally 10 municipal elections, and then there were a minimum of 4, maybe 5 mayoral elections. Now we know about 2 of them were Menino. To your point, my hope would be that if you're moving in something, that you were taking a lot of what you're getting here and constantly engaging your constituency to bring together, that when some like-minded person like you comes together on a project, you got your 50 people ready to go, they got their 50 people ready to go. And so in this engaging here and us having this open dialogue with you, again, I hear your frustration. I also want to make sure you understand that I understand what's going on with P3. I'm not okay with it. So, and Frederick, I will say to you, Charlene, Carlos, my mother, a couple of other folks, You're meeting me at 54. 34 was very different. I was just like you. I didn't know. What do you mean? Y'all need to do this now. And I had to learn some things about organizing, about city budgets, about policy, about understanding that, for example, in the federal government, all right, we can keep it right here locally. If there is an issue that becomes a priority for this administration, where are we? February. They are currently working on fiscal year 27. If there's an issue that comes up in the next couple of months for the mayor, I'm not sure how much of that issue would be reflected in fiscal 27's budget. There are things like things becoming a priority that don't translate into a budget until the next budget cycle. Maybe it might take 2 budget cycles to get stuff done. I hear you. Here's my settle with this. A lot of the things that Carlos and I have talked about organizing would more than likely decrease maybe that 20-year wait that you cite. And I got to go back and look. And it probably is about 20 because I left Menino in 10 and this, I left Menino in 10 and this is 26. That was 16 years ago. The bubble came up while I was there starting in 07. So point taken. Would that amount of years be decreased if those that were in leadership in that time mobilized the constituency? Probably so. And the other thing is if it is the will of the people. Because I could see some people pushing back. I don't want this community center over here, all them young whippersnappers. So Frederick sidebar me because I told you I'm behind and with the comments and whatnot. So please inbox me that context. Reggie, 1776, 1865, to get out from under slavery. In a lot of cases, justice is going to take time. It is what it is. Got to be relentless and consistent. And Reggie, Frederick, Reggie, thank you for that point because it reminds me of this. We did not get, and it's something I used to hear a lot, and it became sort of a cliche, but it's real. We didn't get here overnight. So what makes you think dismantling intentional system constraints is going to get done yesterday? Now, if we hold the line, I'll bring it back home as we get ready to close out as it's 11:30. And did I have anything today? Jesus. Let me just go back and look at Reggie's point and then what Frederick said something else. Oh, the thing of we didn't get here overnight and we're not going to get out of this yesterday. We have to hold the line. To Reggie's point also, people die. People have, unfortunately, fallouts, personality, arguments, and the work gets disrupted. Partially because there wasn't intentional succession, partially because 2 leaders fell out. They're not talking to each other. The city sees that. Ain't nobody called to follow up about it, and the city moves on. Or state, or the zoning board, So we do have a responsibility as much as possible to be consistent and calculated. Charlene, it's never just leadership. They can't steamroll over the many stakeholders at the table. So when do we get off the brother Frederick? You say hamster wheel, I say the highway. I don't know. And that is, listen, I'm with you. I'm with you in the frustration of the cyclical crap. And I said before, if Ronald dumped 1, COVID, and Ronald dumped 2 does not change the macro, our family, our diaspora's approach to things, is it going to, oh, Jesus, I don't want to say that. Is it going to take a, I don't want to say it. I didn't finish your statement. This is all cyclical. There is zero urgency in getting Black community where, Frederick, respectfully, you remind me of me a little bit about 30 years ago. And brother, I get you. I get you. I've said to Carlos, you know, there's some things that are not rocket science. I will say this, Frederick, in some real time that I'm thinking about. We got to have the people will. Those that have perceived people power. And what I mean is that they have access to they have the ability, access, email addresses, phone numbers to mobilize people. They got to have the people will to follow through with them, to have those ongoing relationships, to constantly be in conversation, to constantly be in community, to be able to mobilize them at a moment's notice. And so brother, I hear you. Listen, I hear you. And I share a lot of the frustration. I'm not frustrated. I'm just not turning a blind eye to the BS. And you shouldn't. Just watch yourself when they throw it. Then we ain't planning far enough in advance. I feel Fred all the way, but there's a middle ground and he's got to fill it. Frederick. All the violence and young people getting killed in that neighborhood, it shouldn't have taken 20 years. It should not have. Plain and simple. It shouldn't have. Why it did has varying reasons. I would encourage you, brother, to keep on doing what you're doing. And here and in other spaces and other things that you're doing, take these nuggets and build. Take these nuggets, and I'm going to say this to you too and others. Oh, God. I feel my right shoulder going up. And y'all know what that means. As you're moving into this space, Frederick, be sure that you protect your heart and your ears from the noise. And the people that see your energy, see your commitment, and want to seize it and usurp your vision and bring your energy into theirs and use you for their agenda. I say that to you just as sincerely in some level of I'll say a divine delivery. I feel very compelled to say that to you, sir. And maybe it should have been an inbox, but I felt it right now in the moment. Guard your heart, guard your spirit, and guard your ears. Okay? With that, we had definitely get ready to go. It's just going to take time, said every Black leader in Boston, and now look at us. No, it didn't. We also, I've learned through the years, Frederick, to not make blanket statements and try to employ some or part of, because every Black leader did not do that. Chuck is an example, not in relationship to, the bubble in Grove Hall. Miss Teresa, if you did have another appointment, Miss Teresa, thank you. I needed that laugh. Frederick, we're watching you. We are. Your name comes up in conversations. Okay. I was just told to wrap it up. Thank all of you for being here today. It was obvious something different about this episode because I didn't even realize that when we hit 11:11. We will be back tomorrow, or We Need to Know Wednesday, talking to Reverend Brown today. I'll give another update, hopefully, around P3. And Thursday, Frederick, you'll enjoy this. We're speaking with Pedro Cruz from the Office of Youth Advancement, OYA, Office of Youth Advancement. And yes, we're going to talk about the picture. And more importantly, the picture, we're going to talk about how we ensure that Black and brown voices are elevated at every level, where there are councils, where there are advisory groups and commissions. And so we're going to talk to Pedro about that on Thursday. All right. Last thing is a few more comments and I will wrap up. Carlos said no one knows how long things take until it's been done. Charlene said that first off, we really need to vote. My district has a bad turnout. Imagine how these people would feel if they knew they could be out of a job. We all have to play ball. She also goes on to say, we too, business as usual, and then we do, I think, business as usual, and then we react online. Yep, that one. Yep. I don't know, Brother Curtis. Something tells me I remember him. He looks familiar from like back in the day. Frederick, I told you, you look like I'd seen you when you was much younger. Brother Frederick, do you mind sharing how old you are, sir? With us old heads in here. Who had a stroke, Jesus? Kenya said, well, someone said something like, if P3 takes another 50 years for Roxbury to get what it wants, so be it. You heard who said the Kenya? I didn't hear that. Who said that? Nia Grace said, this is what she said. The shackles look different and now there's systemic constraints. All right, I'm getting ready to go. Hey, Latoya, Nunu, Felicity, good to see you in the room. Frederick said, well, this is the website, jlsmith.org. You better go ahead and promote you. There is Brother Frederick's information, you guys, to go see what he's doing, see who this guy is that's been very active. I don't know if I welcomed you, but you are a part of the Java family, sir. So thank you for being here, and I hope that we can be helpful to you. Charlene was asking something, and then the Mayor's Youth Council. Oh, Charlene, are you saying that the Mayor's Youth Council is a example of reacting on social media after the fact? Like, how many of us made sure that young people knew that that application was available, that the city council applications were open? Deborah Cox, good morning. Good to see you. Why do I know that name? What's the woman's name that sings We Can't Be Friends? Frederick, I got a book on Amazon as well. Come on, Brother Frederick. Come through with the promotion, brother. I love it. I love it. Curtis said, the advice given is that which you can get to the next level without the burnout we currently experience. Yeah. Okay. Frederick. Okay. So here's a few things, sir. And I promise this is it. Let me finish with the comments and I'll end with this one. Carlos said, nobody's supposed to be here. A Pisces, oh God, Frederick and Ma, the Pisces. Now that's where Pedro is from, but also that, okay, y'all are responding to other people's comments. All right. Frederick, what did you say here? Where is it? Sir, I don't know why it's about you today. 40 is the number of change. Biblically, Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. He changed. If you look back at the Noah's Ark, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. And what? The earth changed. 40 is the number of change. If you look at the biblical numerology of 40, 4 is the number of seasons: winter, summer, spring, and fall, seasons in your life. 0, which can be attributed to 10, 40, 4 times 10. 10 is a number of reset. Sir, as all the church folks, y'all know where I am. You are at a very intricate point in your life, sir. Be very careful about your gates, your eye gates, your ear gates, and your heart and soul gates. You are at a very pivotal time, and how you flow and move now is going to inform your road, and whether it's 5 or 20 years. And I'm getting off of here. Thank you, Kenya. Kenya said, I took notes and got receipts. All right, I'm going. Charlene, that's the number of truly knowing who you are. And that, no, it's not, Charlene. Something happens at 40. Let me tell you about 50. Good God from Zion. I turned to somebody last night, a woman, and respectfully, we're in a church. We're not going to converse now. You just had to block somebody yesterday, somebody that's known me for 30, 40 years and was disrespectful as I'm not dealing with stuff like that. 40 something happens, but 50, oh, you coast. And don't give a Frederick said, I've been active in the community. You can Google the work I've done, Johns. We got the government. All right, Frederick, I'm getting off of here. Roxanne is in the building. Hi, God niece. Her mom is my god sister, the great late Betty Burrell, my godmother. 50 is a beautiful thing. Charlene, last comment. Black button is my favorite thing at 30. Block button is my favorite thing at 30. Charlene, you ain't hitting 40 yet? Oh, Charlene. I love when people tell me that when they about to hit 40. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, I got to go. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Hold on, because somebody sent me a receipt. I'm not surprised. Who said